3, 2, 1, and at long last we're away, episode 30. And
if people could see behind the scenes, Chrissy, you know, we've been sitting here, zip tying shit together, doing this, we're currently balancing 4 boxes on a water bottle, trying to hold this GoPro in with a zip tie in your camper. I don't want to know why you've got zip ties in your camper. You know, go on, actually, why have you got zip ties in your camper?
I didn't even know it was there. You
bollocks to you, whatever. Go on, which victim? I'm sitting across from Ted Bundy. Yeah, let's go. So, anyway, we're back here chasing the racing. Opposite me is Ted Bundy. How are you doing, Ted?
It's been a good few weeks since our last podcast as well, so it's good to be back. But I tell you what, just before we get going...
Speak for yourself, it's bloody freezing over here.
We've got the heating on, so we'll warm up shortly. But before we get going, we've got our loyal sponsors to thank for sponsoring the show. So first of all, big thanks to Incontango Training.
You don't even need to read this anymore. Look at you off the cuff. I love it, mate.
Risk Finance and Treasury Consultancy. But more importantly, bike racing fans. So big
and
thanks.
Friends. And friends of ours, they love the show and they keep sponsoring us, so Absolutely. Keep them coming, young'un.
Absolutely. So thanks very much. And also, we've can you remember a while ago, my local barber sponsored us?
Yeah, have you shot them yet?
What's that?
Have you shot them or got rid of them?
Why are you saying that?
Wait, because of the mop on the top of your head. Keep doing half a job. Obviously, you must just go in and go, can I just have the sides? Yep, fair enough. Zip straight. Is that fashionable? This has come from a guy sitting here in a bobble hat in an over-the-top Chasin The Racin gilet, bit of product placement. Anyway, back to the sponsor. Sorry.
Yeah, so the back again, a sponsor. And if you remember last time, they were up for an award.
The Victory Barbershop, is that right?
Victory Barbershop in Burnfield. Well,
yes, see, there we go.
So Victory Barbershop Burnfield, proud winner of the Northeast Beauty Industry Barbers of the Year Award. Christmas appointments available at victorybarbers.nearcut.com. Download the Nearcut app or hit the Book Now button on our Facebook page. So,
by the way, they'll give you any haircut just because Chrissy orders a shit haircut. You know, these lot will do you anything. You just book online and you get yourself in. You know, just don't ask for what the hell. I can't take my eyes off it, son. What's up with your head? I'm just jealous because I just couldn't pull that off. There's no way on God's green earth I could pull that haircut off. But hey, anyway, on with the show, Chrissy.
So we've got, obviously, loads has happened in the last few weeks since our last podcast, and obviously you've been away on your travels. But before we get on with... you go on, tell us what we've got in
We're
mind.
totally out of practice here. No, I was just thinking, even in the last couple of days, what day is it? It's Friday, 11 o'clock. Everyone else our age, Chrissy, is out boozing and doing drugs, and we're sitting in a camper van, freezing my balls off. You know, this is commitment to the cause. So I hope you lot over here are happy. But no, as far as the schedule for the show, it's a bit like, as you said, you know, we've been off travelling, looking at the whiteboard of doom here. It's a bit going to talk about Macau. And, well, what on earth happened over there? Then we're going to talk about the NEC with your big news. And then we're going to go on to pretty much what we're going to do.
All the gossip, 2020 gossip.
All the gossip, a little bit of rumour mill, because we all love a bit of rumour mill. And then, go from there, my man. Before
we get on to the topics of, obviously, since you've been back from Macau, we'll get on to that in a second. Have you been up to much like sort of last week?
Honestly, all I want to do is sleep it. Now, yeah, hold on, right? Is it jet lag or jet lag?
Jet lag.
Jet lag, because I'm thinking jet lag. What the hell's jet lag? You know what I mean? Is one going faster than the other? No, so I know. I'm just wanting to, honestly, last year, my first year there, over in Macau, I think I was just proper giddy. If you know what I mean? So I don't really think it sunk in. Mm-hmm. And this time, I'm just I'll be driving down the road really awake, and then just going, whoa, I'm about to fall asleep. Mm-hmm. It's actually properly caught us out this time. Mm-hmm. More importantly, the bloody weather's caught us out. We've been over there racing in 32 degrees, man.
I've heard it's really stuffy as well, and
it's proper
humid.
Oh wait, the thing over in Macau, right? You get this thing called the Macau cough, right? So when you turn up, you take fresh air for granted. Put it this way: you turn up and it's just proper smoggy. Mm-hmm. You know, the pollution in the air is unreal, man, and you're it's just thick. Mm-hmm. It just feels like you're trying to run through treacle.
Is it like Middlesbrough in China?
Oh no! Wait, Middlesbrough's worse. No, I'm joking. China's considerably worse. No, it's just you can feel it on your chest, man. It's just so stuffy, like you say. Uh-huh. And when you get home, man, you're coughing out a lung. You get that much oxygen. Mm-hmm. But no, But I've never ridden in temperatures like that. I've never even done a track day in Spain. So it's like over there, it's a bit of a shock to the system.
Okay. Can you remember a while ago we were talking about when it gets too hot and it gets like greasy on track? Did you sort of feel that, or was the grip pretty decent?
Look, the grip was bloody brilliant, to be fair, and it was trying to get used to that, because I think to be honest, I think we're just going to end up straight into talking about Macau here. But like Macau is just, it's a short circuit. It really is a short, and they say don't do that with road race and everything like that. And yes, that terminology applies, but the actual grip level, because I was doing track walks, like walking around it, and it's mental doing a track walk around there.
How long's the circuit there?
Oh yeah, that's a dumb
Roughly.
I have no idea. Hold on,
what's a lap time?
2:25s. 2 minutes 25s.
Right.
So I'm trying to think what that is. Here, God, there'll be people kicking off here. So
I'm watching on board. It like to walk it must take a canny while.
But I tell you that not only that, it's like the actual gradient, because Macau is essentially an artificial island. They just keep extending it and extending it. They just keep pouring rubbish into the sea. And
I never knew that.
Oh, honestly, it's just like when you look at old footage, like the old track used to run by the coastline. Like they used to come out onto this.
So the actually like
they
just
actually
make land.
They're making land.
Bloody hell,
Right, because it's illegal, right, to gamble in China. It's illegal. So
They all go to Macau.
the Macau, it's its own government. They've got their own currency and everything.
So it's kind of like the Isle of Man, but in China.
Aye, but they keep extending it. Honestly, when we're flying into Hong Kong and that, you can actually see them just like what they're doing, dredging out from like the coast of China, just sailing over and just chucking it off. It's mental, man. Absolutely mental. But even like, because the island's constantly developing, even the simple little things like sewage pipes and that, they're literally pumping raw sewage, right, straight off the side of the track. When you're coming off the first start line, I know, honestly, when you're coming off the start line, you make the first left to turn one, and you're coming down the straight.
There's my Chinese off last night.
Oh, that's another subject. That's another subject.
What, the scran?
No, the scrap. Oh, it's rough, man. I'm thinking I'm off to China. I'm going to be eating Chinese food all the time. It's nothing like that, right?
Really?
It's an artificial. It's a figment of imagination what we get over here. I'm sitting there going, mint, I'm going to have sweet and sour chicken, Cantonese style with egg fried rice. You can't get any of that. Like, you can get egg fried rice, but I'm like, I want chicken balls. That's all I want. But everything's like seafood. But yeah, anyway, but back to this sewage crack. They're pumping raw sewage off the line, and they've got all the local fishermen by the sewage pipe, because all the fish are attracted to literally the human shit, right? Honestly, and the fish are jumping, and you've got the local Terry just sitting there with his hunchback with his little homemade fishing rod, racking it off, right? He's pulling in these fish and hanging them on the chain link fence off the track to let them dry out.
So it's like a shit marinated cod.
So obviously you see this and that, and then you just go into they have these big press meals and stuff, and you go in there and they're serving you like deep fried shrimp with the little tail on, and you're like, you can take that back, princess. I know where you pulled that out of. You're just waiting for the local cow to walk by so you can butcher it. I'm telling you, fish food, I won't touch it again.
Really?
And you're into your sushi, aren't you? Have I put you off?
I've never been to Macau. I don't really know anything about it.
Are you into your gambling?
What sort of, is it the similar sort of size to the Isle of Man, or is it like loads bigger?
No, it's a lot smaller, I think. I think it's a lot smaller, but like the mad thing is,
so is it like a real tiny island?
It's getting bigger and bigger. Like the mad thing is, it's like last year was my first year, and it was like, whoa, this is mental, you know what I mean? Casino lights all the time, and the mad thing is, you don't see anyone on the streets really walking around, because all the locals go in and gamble. Like in China, how we, obviously we can't because we road race, and we can't afford to go on holidays. But what the locals do, they save up their entire year and they go to the casinos. Honestly, you walk through the doors, man, they're rammed, and you've got all the locals, man, just like screaming and chucking things. It's class, man. It is just such an atmospheric place. It's unreal, and there's no like bars. There's not like the local Weatherspoons. But there is this one bar, right, called Pacific Wing, like down the front, and it's mental. But it's the only place that's like a bar.
Does the whole paddock just descend
The
on
whole
that?
paddock. Honestly, you're sitting there, and the whole of Paul Bird's team's there. Everyone, like all the Irish lads are there, and we're all chucking pint glasses and like picking on the locals, like way and stuff like that. Even the local cops are driving by, gone, "We're not going in there." Like just a bunch of crazy nutters.
Is there much to do? Like, do you mix much with the car racing crews and that there? Or?
Oh, right. The biggest problem, right, with this show is people have bigged this up, you know, on the Twitter page and everything. I think people are properly getting ready for the gossip. Now, Chrissy, I've got gossip coming out my arse with this one, I'm telling you. But I like these lads, and I don't want to get them sacked off their teams. like all the lads who listen to this, even like Dave Johnson, who was supposed to be on the show, but the little bugger's asleep because obviously that they're in the future at 12 hours ahead, so he's in bed. But anyway, like all the lads, it's like a proper, it's a good bit of crack. You know what I mean? Everyone's full of drink and having a good dice on. But like one of the lads, who I'm going to call Project X, he looks like Dan Brazilian. And I know you'll be listening to the show and you'll be like, don't tell this story, right? So anyway, but you've got the car lot, right? So you know how we're comparison. So you're a BSB wanker. And I'm like a real bloke, you know what I mean? I road race, you know what I mean? So I don't have hair gel, you have pedicures, right? So you have that segregation, right? Yeah. You would look... it's sort of the studio's falling apart here. But no, you would look common like me in that world. I'm telling you, man, they're all going around with their personal trainers. All their girlfriends are high maintenance, flicking their hair, walking around. And it's just like they're doing like yoga in the morning, skipping. But put it this way, there's that much of a segregation. They're in a different hotel. That, like, honestly, is huge segregation. So anyway, Project X.
I mean,
right.
we oh, go on.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. So you've got Project X, right? So anyway, a couple of the car lads ended up in our local nightclub. Like, we've got a local nightclub. So anyway, it's across from the hotel. And then this, this car lad accused Project X. He's Irish, looks like Dan Brazilian. I'm going to keep saying that. So he accused him of pinching his wallet. And he's like, no, like, I didn't take your wallet. So anyway, the spelk of a human being, right, pushed Project X. Now, this is a fully thoroughbred bred Irishman, right? He pushed him. So anyway, Project X just put his pint glass down and just absolutely whacked him clean off his feet. I think his soul left his body. He hit him that hard. I'm telling you, and just sent him absolutely flying. And it was just like absolutely uproar. It was absolutely class, man. So, yes, there is a huge difference between the car lads and the bike lads. It's like we're the fun lot and they're the dead boring lot. And I think the locals love it, to be fair. And it's just, but like, don't get me wrong, everyone there is serious on race day, but I think we just know how to have fun. Them lot don't.
So obviously you're there for, what is it, like 10 days or something?
Oh, longer than that. It was. To be honest,
like nearly 2 weeks or something.
Like, I'm over the moon just to get an invite. Like, you know, to get an invite to this event. You know, they take you on credit of your season. So everyone who's there is there for a reason. And you think that's absolutely class. But on a personal note, and I'll probably get me ride revoked for next year if I say this, but it's too long out there, and they get you over there for the bike show. But bearing in mind, the Macau government pay for the teams to go. Like, not wages or anything like that, or start permission. They pay your flights, they pay your hotel, and it's like, oh, it's a huge honour, really. But when you get there, you do the bike show at the beginning, and then the rest of the time you're just like you're dossing about, and like your second year there, it's like, oh god, well, you've kind of done everything at that point, and it's a shame. I think we're all in that pattern, including yourself. You know, you get in you turn up, you get ready, you go racing, you go home. And I think with Macau, it's like
bit
you're
of
there.
A holiday.
It is a bit of a holiday, but it's like me personally, I don't do holidays, so I'm a bit
bored.
Well, to be fair,
is there any decent trees over there to cut down?
Not a single one, son. Not a single one. But no, it makes me sound ungrateful. But it was just a little bit too long for me for being over there. And I know there'll be people listening to this going, "Yeah, ungrateful little wanker." But like that's my only little that's my honest opinion on it. But it was, like I say, it was great to go. But No, but I tell you what, bar
So
that.
I was just going to say, from when you get there to practicing, like how do you sort of fill your time? I seen quite a few of the lads putting selfies by the pool and that.
Oh,
where you're just sort of chilling.
Well, it was mad, but you see, like the pool, that pool was at a hotel called the Galaxy, and it was like 10 stories off the floor, you know.
The pool was.
The pool was?
Was it?
Aye, but that was on one of the casinos, and like since last year, we've seen 5 more casinos built, high-rise casinos.
Oh, dear.
It makes more money than Vegas, and it's gonna. You're thinking, you know, when people think they go gambling, right, and they think, oh, I'm gonna win, the house always wins. To the point of they're putting bloody more casinos up. You're thinking you're not gonna win, are you? But like, it's like the whole thing. It is definitely worth going to Macau. Just
is there any other? Obviously, with it being a real wealthy place, is there like ridiculous cars and
nah,
really?
none of that.
I've sort of half expected just to be like Lamborghinis and Bugattis everywhere, and like, is it not like that?
Nah, like on it, like I think that obviously they had the car event on and like going around in the paddock. That is surreal. But like I said, like even going back to my other point about like, you know, the segregation side of it, it's like the way the car lads do it is phenomenal. Like they've flown over pit boards and like everything. They've got drawers, like full 10 toolboxes of like one drawer for M5s, one drawer for M6, like bolts, and then washers and everything. It's phenomenal. But obviously, like when we go over, so I went over with the RC Express team, and they get like a flight case each, and that includes putting all your tyres in, that includes putting all your toolboxes in and everything. And it's like you fly them out, then they ship them home. So the RC Express team won't get their bikes back till the end of January, because they fly them out and then ship them home. They're literally on the slow boat from China right now.
I tell you what surprised me when I was at. We'll get on to talking about the NEC in a bit, but when I was at the NEC, I think they had one of Scott Redden's bikes on the Bennett stand. They had one on the Ducati stand, and then they had 2 over in. Do you know? In my head, I thought they've got 2 bikes, like 2 riders. But they had 2 on just the stands. Then they were racing 2 out in Macau. So you think they must have like quite a few bikes in circulation to be able to do that. But more on the Macau stuff. Obviously, you got out on the bike. You were on the 2018 Kawasaki. So not the same as what you've been riding this year.
No, obviously.
Did it feel weird going back?
I tell you what, it was night and day. It was absolutely night and day, and that was a mind blowing one, because I was on the Davies Motorsport, the Belgrave Davies Motorsport ZX10RR, but we know with the titanium engine, and you know how we were kind of talking about at the beginning of the year, you know that throttle pickup, which you've sorted now, which is great, but you know that just over $8,000, bang, it was there. I tell you what, going back a bike, it was heavier. It didn't turn as well on it. There was little things, because obviously when you're revving it more, the inertia of the engine actually helps it to transfer, because the light of the flywheel, everything. Like
I think because I rode both this year, I think there's quite a big difference between the 18 Kawasaki and the 19.
Because when they swapped your engines over, at the beginning of the year, and you said, there's a difference, I'm thinking, what a load of cock that is. You're totally right. There is a huge difference between the bikes. There really is. Do
you know, in terms of what you buy, like in the showroom, I think the 2018 bike is about, I think it's around the sort of 12, 13 grand mark.
Right.
Kawasaki. If you want the 2019 one with like the one we've got,
I
think it's, the retail price is about 23.
23.
So there is a big, so you would expect there to be a difference for like 10 grand.
But from the outside looking in, it looks
exactly the same.
But there really is a huge difference for the bike, and it was like the team at the RC Express team, you know, they got the bike built together, and we went, me and Paul Allen Jordan, we went to Croft.
I was going to say about the
He properly kicked off. He was like that. Like, there's Paul going, "Oh, you take the piss out of your middle name, like." He's like, "You don't even have one." I'm like, "That's a bit personal, Paul." Jeez, right.
I was looking through the timesheets, because I remember you mentioning about on Macau, on the like the grid and everything, they've got the like all 3 names or 4 names in some cases. But I had a read through. There was a few funny
mental,
ones.
Isn't it? I don't know why are middle names funny.
I don't know.
Like Alan's a perfectly
Do you know what my
acceptable
middle name
name.
is?
Oh, here, please go on then.
Rufus.
Shut up.
No. Your granddad was called Rufus.
Oh, don't put the guilt on.
No,
Rufus. Shut up, man, you bellend.
It's Michael.
Michael. Okay, I'd prefer Rufus, to be fair. But no, it's
I was actually nearly...
I've totally lost now. I'm thinking of middle names. Yeah, I'm thinking of middle names. Where were we?
I was actually going to be called Ronnie Rouse. My dad wanted to call us Ronnie, and it was only my mum that stopped us. But
yeah, Mum's the brains of the family. Then they are. Don't you dare call our boy that, our little angel. But I would obviously like talking about the difference of the bikes, and like obviously the team put the bike together, went round Croft, but it was like me and Paul got like 6 laps each, and it was just like,
it's like damp as well.
it was damp and it was everything. So when we arrived in Macau in the first session, it was like a 45-minute session, and it was just like trying to get your head back in. But it was just like the bike was all over the place, and we had Richard from Max and M. We're trying to get it dialed in, and trying to learn the track again, and it was just like whoa. And I ended up overthinking it, and I never got a toe off in practice, and it was just like I was out by myself, and I had no reference, and that like I say, trying to get the bike set up for me, and then I qualified really, really poor. And it got me down a bit, and that's something I need to get over. But in the race, I was probably like chomping on the bit, like properly chomping off the bit, and I had a crap start typically. But the whole race, as everyone saw across the world, it went to pot. So I don't know what I'm whinging at. The whole thing went to pot, youngin.
It wasn't a good year for for the bike side of things at Macau, but obviously. These things happen when you're racing, and on a short circuit, those things happen, and they sort of kind of slide off into the gravel and the grass. The marshals run on, pick them up, and everything's fine. But obviously, it's like a pinball machine there, and if people go down, there's nowhere for the bikes and the riders to go other than lie in the middle of the track. So
that's it. But we're racing in a cage, so really, when you see a yellow flag, it's a red flag. Obviously, when the race got going, the first one, Rob Hodgson, who has been absolutely on form, and that man does not get enough praise. The whole Hodgson family. But it's like in the inner circles, everyone knows him, everyone respects him, everyone knows like I say, respects him. But from the outside, they don't get enough what they deserve. The Hodgson family, without a doubt. But Rob was absolutely on form. He's got the bike. He's been on the same bike all year. It was his super bike that he's built with his dad and his family and his team. And that he was flying. His confidence was high. And unfortunately, got into the race. He had a cracking start, and he just folded the front. And when you look at the footage, man, he's just... I'm not CSI Crash, but I think he's gone in a little bit too hot. That slightly a little bit too hot. But bear in mind, this is a track that any mistake really is. If you slightly go offline, it's going to catch you out. Honestly, if you just slightly run wide. So I think he's gone in just that slight, literal midgie's dick bit too much. And he's just given a load of front brake, and he's trying to make the turn because it's such a fast flip flop of a corner. And he's just poof, there goes the front, and knew it was coming. And he's gone up the track. The bike's gone over him without hitting him. I think it clipped his head. But Mark, anyway, a lad riding for the Pens team, no, Wheelpole team. He got the aftermath of it, and we all came through, and we all just avoided him. So then the race got going again after that, and then one warm up, and
because Hickman checked out in that first one, didn't he? Before it got red flagged.
What kind of lead did he have?
7 seconds.
7 seconds.
Just went from the off.
So I think. Even in practice, man, he was doing 6 laps. He wasn't even doing the full sessions. He was on boom, off you go, and he didn't have to do anything. But even that to a side, even before we talk about the second race, I tell you who, let's go back to Dave O'Johnson and John McGuinness and Horace Sager and all that. I mean, the form was there, and I tell you what, the biggest difference was between the morning and after practice, the morning practice and the evening practice, with the heat difference. It was absolutely phenomenal. But
it was the morning one about 7 o'clock in the morning or something.
7 in the morning, so you're walking into the paddock at 5. It's mint, innit? So you're up at 4:30, 5 o'clock. They put early brekker on. You go have your brekker, and then you go down.
For, shit marinated cod.
Pretty much. I think everyone would just ended up on the fruit. The local. That's it. So everyone
turd shrimps.
That's it. Everyone was light on their feet. We all looked like we were licking salmonella off the wall. Hey. But anyway, we'll all go down for morning practice. But the mad thing is that because it's mainly a car event, Macau. And it's not as serious as it should be. That's the truth of it.
What's that, from the car side or the
But
bike?
no, both. Like the event, it's mainly a car because they've got more classes, and then they don't treat the event for bikes as serious,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the truth of it. To the point of we are first practice,
Mm-hmm.
road shut, we are the street sweepers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's corners, right, where they park cars up all year. There's thick black oil, no cement dust, nothing. I am not shitting you. They don't even brush it. You just go around the corner, and it's like it takes 4 or 5 laps to get the iron. We're the first ones to put rubber down,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the reason behind that is they flick like not even a foot wide. It's tiny little cushions over a couple of the corners,
Mm-hmm.
just to block the arco a little bit. So they flick them over first. We go around, then they pull them out for the cars to go round, and then they flick them back over for last session. So you've gone round street sweeping in the first one, still trying to get your eye in, with the thing skating all over the place. Then the last session, the sun's in your eyes, because it's still winter over there. It's nearly 30 degrees, but it's still winter. And you got the sun in your eyes going in the Lisboa. And you think, this is just mental. All great, but you just think that you're trying to catch a break.
So the track itself, what's your favourite bits? Do you have any least favourite bits?
No, I really enjoy it, but I just think it's one of those tracks, and it's a bit like in the TT, but nothing like the TT, in the fact that you've got to relax, you've got to let it flow, and if you try hard, the times don't come, and I think I just over-tried this year, and I've learned from that, and I'll make up for that next year, without a doubt. But that's where the experience comes in. It's like, let's talk about like Dave O'Johnson here, like on the Ducati. Never hopped on the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was banging in consistent times. He's never sat on the thing, not testing like John McGuinness.
I was well impressed with McGuinness as well.
Well, McGuinness is just, he's like, to put it blunt, I think he's just had a shit time with Norton. Over this season, he hasn't quite shown his colours. He had his head down, and as we all know, riding the bike's in your head. But he got on. Paul Bird's been a long-time sponsor of him.
Mm-hmm.
He's got on the bike, and he's just been on the gallop. And then there's that experience, and he's shown it. He's absolutely shown it, and he's flew away on the thing. But like Davo, he was on the pipe straight off the bat, and like I saw him on that night. I'm like, he's going, I'm off to buy a Ducati, mate. Like he absolutely loved it. But like you say, the team's got bikes scattered literally all over the world. They are a proper professional outfit, full data, full this, full everything. They didn't go there half-arsed. They went there for a result.
I've seen Gary Johnson was riding for Ashcourt along with Lee Johnson as well. Gary was on the HP Carbon, I think, and Lee was on the new BMW.
Have you seen that HP Carbon?
One of my sponsors has got one, so I've seen one up close, but I've never, not a race. I've not seen one on track.
Oh! Now that you're a full Kawasaki lad, you can't even ride that anymore. But if you want to have a word with your sponsor, I'll have a go on it. But no, Gary and stuff, they were saying how the bike handles like an old 250 GP bike, and that would have been absolutely amazing. They've got some real beautiful bikes going around there.
I've seen Steve Hennigan on the Ducati, the Quattro Plant Ducati. That looked trick. I like the with the teeth and that. It looks like a shark's mouth. It looks cool.
Best looking bike on the grid, and he's put some time in. He goes really well around there. Like I say, experience around there counts. So you need laps to learn the place. But like me, and to be honest, I think really as far as bikes go, I honestly think me and Paul Jones were the only ones on stockers. Everyone else was on superbikes or abbreviations and stuff. Different swinging arms, different front end, blah 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 blah.
Do you run slick tyres over there as well?
Slicks, right. Just straight out slicks, because they won't run it in the wet.
Right, aye.
Which is very fortunate. Which is very fortunate, because it's just like it. But the bad thing is, if you took away the Arco, mate, you would love it. You'd absolutely
like the actual track layout.
The track layout, because like the first proper bit of gradient, it's like San Francisco Hill. I'm not exaggerating, son. And we're on YouTube here, but I've got it's like that. It is honestly like that. You get to the top and you're still climbing all the way through, then you start dropping back down. It's mental.
And what's the fastest corner there? Is there any fifth or sixth gears?
Oh, yeah. Oh, like that's coming on the start line. So you're like fifth back to fourth, and then you're making the just before Lisboa, your fifth gear. So it's like sixth back to fifth, roll it, and then just straight in, whop, straight through. Like,
Fucking hell.
It's class, like. So the track's got a bit of everything. You just need time to go there and learn it, and just relax a bit more.
I seen Phil Crow put a little video on Facebook on board where he misses his braking marker, and it literally must be the only runoff in the whole Macau Grand Prix. So he's braking.
That wasn't even runoff. That was an exit lane. There's 2 runoffs. There's one at Lisboa, but best thing is about Lisboa, there's only 200 yards of a runoff met by a concrete wall to stop going into open traffic. If you have proper brake failure, there is no runoff. You literally go on same. It's called. Anyway, it's a corner out. It's literally that corner where the big pile-up was. That next corner on the right-hand side, there's a little bit of runoff there, but that's only like 50 yards. But like you say, Crowe went down that hill and just, I don't know how he found it. I don't even think he knew it was there. He was a lucky lad. Yeah, but unfortunately, it caught him out in that big crash after.
Yeah. He took quite a nasty impact as well when he came round. I take it that must be a blind corner when you come round that right-hander.
Well, it's blind when you come down the hill on the left. But the mad thing is, like I was saying beforehand, if you see a yellow flag round there, it's a red flag. That's what I said to myself, because like you said, there's nowhere for the bike to go. But the thing, you know yourself how tight you get in a race, but really that whole back section through section 2 and 3, it's a one-line situation. And you can get so caught out with someone else's mistake around there, because every corner is blind, like you say, every corner. So that one lad, what's his anyway, the lad who came off, he took the front initial, yeah. He got used as a bloody speed bump. He had back surgery.
Is he okay though?
Relatively
okay.
Yeah, relatively okay. The mad thing is, I've been there, right, twice now, and I know 4 people who've had back surgery.
From Macau?
From Macau. There is no runoff. Absolutely no runoff. But I tell you what, even speaking about Crowe, he does a lot of short circuit riding, and he properly gelled with the place, and he was on for a really good result. He was properly on the pipe, and he's a hell of a racer. But I tell you what, more importantly, he's one tough guy. He flew all the way home. He loaded up his bike, which was smashed. Everyone's seen the footage, and if you haven't, go look at it. What? Probably type it in on YouTube now, can you?
Facebook or YouTube, yeah.
Facebook or YouTube, and go have a look at it, because the carnage. Anyway, so he got back with his team, like Dale and Aaron and all them, loaded up his bike. He's come home. He signed himself in A&E because he's felt a little bit unwell. Now, if you don't know who Phil Crowe is, right, he's a 6'5" giant, right, with I think his biceps are bigger than my face. He's a huge lad, huge lad. But he signed himself in the hospital, felt a little bit unwell.
I seen took him straight in for a CT scan and a neck brace and everything, didn't they?
And what was the outcome? I think it was on his face tube, but 4 broken vertebrae, 4 compression fractures, and then I think a couple of bus ribs. There's tough,
That's
then
mad,
there's tough, isn't it? You know what I mean? And you just think, my God, and he didn't have surgery out there. But I'll tell you what's mad.
Some boy, yeah.
Well, Dudgeon, he came off. He was a newcomer last year. He had a big crash. I think it was only the 3rd lap into his newcomer, 3rd lap ever. He went first corner where you, like I was saying, you go from 5th back to 4th and roll through. He went through flat out. He went straight into the Arco, and he compressed his back that much it was like gravel. His spine was like gravel. And the FIM motorcycle head medical man, he's an Irishman. Anyway, he went straight out to him, and this man's sole job is to keep on top of the best regulations in medical care. And the first thing he said to Dudgeon was, whatever you do, get your surgery done in China. I know, that shocked me as well, because you think big country, and you do think, whoa, no, I trust, you do. You take the NHS for granted, but you think, no, I'd rather be at home, and even the language, your home comfort, language barrier, it's nothing disrespectful of the Chinese or anything like that. You just think, I'd rather be at home if I'm going to get me back operated on. But what they do at home, apparently, I've never personally had back surgery myself, but apparently they lie you flat in this country. But what they do in China is they lie on your backside, right, and curl your back over. So you can imagine, if you're sitting on your arse and try and touch your toes, that's how they do back surgery. So they just run a knife up the back, because your back naturally curves when you lean forward, instead of trying to guess the curvature of your spine. You see what I mean? Because if you the temper mattresses, so you've got a bottom from your hip, you get the dip, and climbs over. But if you try and touch your toes, the back is one consistent curve. So what they're doing in China, in back surgery, is they just knock you out, flip you, make you touch your own toes, and if there's any anomalies or whatever, anything broken, it's obviously in the curve, and they just pull it back into the curve. In dudgeon, bearing in mind, lovely lad, lovely lad, he was back racing, because he does rally car racing as well. He was back racing a couple of months later. So, kids, if you're listening to this, if you ever bust your back, go to China. I'm telling you. So anyway, we're digressing here. Let's talk about, obviously the big...
Well, I tell you what, just before we finish with Macau, we cannot not mention Michael Rutter. Obviously, his age, taking his win. I think it was it about third or fourth win around Macau?
9th.
Was it 9th?
That's his 9th win.
Bloody hell, and that's
9th. No, but hold on, right? He's the first man
to ever win a race after one lap.
After one lap, but he was the first man, and my respect for the man keeps going up and up and up, right? He was the first man to put his hand up and gone, I did not deserve that win. It belonged to Hickman. And to be honest, that took a lot of shine off it for me for the event. You're thinking, how can they call that a result? Yes, the time restraint and everything, and blah blah blah. But you think they're just guessing results. And bearing in mind, in all 6 lads that were in that crash,
were in the results.
Like that makes me sound, but still, how many times have you'd be British bloody champion right now if you if you got touched by the shit stick and you still got a result. Don't get me wrong,
weird, that isn't it? Like
it's good for the lads. I'm not taking anything away from the lads, but even the lads were a bit like, what.
I didn't really deserve to get a finish if I didn't finish.
But the time before that, Dean Harrison, he caused a red flag and he was still in the results. And you think, it's a bit like, what's going on?
The way that would then become really, really difficult is if you were leading and then you crashed yourself. The race got red flag and then you won it.
I tell you what, that's happened before in the cars.
Has it?
Touring cars, an Audi R8 flipped it on the line, right? Like he was leading the race by like well over half distance. He flipped it on the line and he won it. He red flagged the race and he won it.
That's odd.
How does that work, man?
That sort of happened at Suzuka this year as well, didn't it? When
the Johnny Ray thing.
But I think there was like oil down. Or something.
But
I know what you're saying. It's not nice.
No, it's a bit, it's a bit weird that. But obviously, Hickman.
I've actually spoke to Rutter about coming on the podcast, so we'll get him.
Good thing I'm not slagging him off. Fuck you, right?
He's just got a new autobiography out, so I'm gonna get it and have a quick read, and then we'll get him on the podcast and have a big crack. He was actually, when I first started watching BSB back in 2003. Michael Rutter was one of the top guys on the HM Plant Honda. So it was like John Reynolds, Yukio Kageyama. Can you remember those days? So and like obviously I've raced with them for years now. So yeah, we'll get them on over the next. Obviously we've got the full winter really to get loads of guests.
Wait, that's a good one. We'll have to get Hickman on again after that. But like a true professional, he understands the rules of the event, and he just quite literally took it on the chin, didn't he? So there we go. But no. Just to sum up the Macau, I'm really over the moon that everyone's all right. Everyone's still, obviously, there's a fair few broken bones and everyone get well soon. And, absolutely love the event, mate. It's a case of, because it's an invitation race, hopefully I get invited back again. But, that's a long way away and we've got a long winter to go through yet. But, but speaking of the winter, speaking of news and everything, you've got some big news since the last podcast, young'un. Hey, congrats, shake my hand, even though you're in a sling. Shake my hand, young'un. What's the crack? You tell me.
So really pleased, obviously, to announce that I'll be riding for Massingbird Mundi Kawasaki, ran by MSS down in Colchester. And we're going to be back in the Superstock Championship on the ZX-10RR. I'm not sure if Kawasaki are bringing out a new bike for 2020. It's a little bit hush-hush. I think there's one in the pipeline.
Not anymore.
Well, I think there's one in the pipeline, but I'm not sure if it's going to be out in time for the season. But
do you know anything about that? I meant like chassis-wise, anything like that?
I'm not sure about the chassis, but I think it's I think it's something like an extra 6 brake horsepower or something decent, like a decent gain.
All right, so they're keeping with the same, like, so what's that word, man? Homologation special,
Yeah.
because but like, because there's only 500 of those bikes that we've got at the moment, limited edition, aren't
What
there?
number have you got?
62.
This year the Morello bike was 16.
16. Oh god, you're the favourites then. Straight onto it. So anyway, you were saying so nice.
So yeah, I'm going to be racing back in the Superstocks Championship, which I'm really pleased about, and obviously staying on the Kawasaki. Feel like I really got to know the bike towards the end of this year. Obviously taking the win at Donington.
You never mentioned that. You should tell us more about that. Did you win?
Do you know what I mean? I had,
all right.
Because I was down at the NEC last week, and obviously doing interviews all the time and like going up on stage having a little chat. Every single chat. It was because I won at Donington. Just getting dropped in all the time.
Good lad.
You've got to play to your strengths, haven't you?
Right, damn right.
Yeah, so really pleased. MSS Kawasaki haven't been in the championship haven't been a BSB I think for about 7 years, and
directly, obviously, because they've got such a big
their
support mechanism. Their business,
their business is to be preparing bikes. So they're involved in that way, but they haven't had their own team for about 7 years, I think. So great addition back to the series. I remember when they used to run the Superbike job, and it's they're a proper team. Everything's top job.
Well, they've got a reputation. They do have a reputation because if they're building products for everyone else, they've got to come into this.
Yeah. I went down to the showroom. So basically, Colchester Kawasaki is a dealership. Within the dealership, you go in. There's a barber's. There's like a vintage shop.
Dealer?
You literally go in, there's a cafe, there's a massive TV screen.
I hope you're not telling our sponsor about this barbers that you're going to see down south.
Oh, yeah. I didn't get a haircut, to be fair. But anyway, you go in, and then you go round the back and upstairs, and there's the MSS bit, which is like an amazing workshop. It's got literally everything, like room for this. It's got like a room for suspension and brake lines. Then you go into like an engine room, and it's proper job. Dyno out the back, so everything's in place for my bike to be spot on for next year. And I really feel like it's a good opportunity to have a go at the championship. Obviously, you don't know who's going to be in it, but I'm confident that I'm going to be strong, and hopefully we'll be racking up some podiums, and hopefully get a couple of some more race wins, and see where we end up. Joined by Tom Ward, who was my teammate back in 2018 when I was riding in Superbikes for Halsall, Mavuno Halsall racing team. So I know Tom really well. We were racing back in 2009 together, back in Super Teen days. So we've known each other for ages. My girlfriend and his girlfriend are like best mates.
Oh God! That's the end of you two, then, isn't it? They are. It's when these women get together. Oh, hell on, they're blind.
So yeah, it works perfectly. I was down at the NEC with Tom. I had a really good time. So yeah, everything's coming together nicely. Obviously, still in a sling with my shoulder, but we've got another 3 weeks, I think, until I'm out.
I was about to say, but that's
start rehab, and I won't be back. Hopefully, we'll do some testing. Maybe February, March, and then before the season starts. But the team I'm riding for, it's a bit confusing for people who maybe just see it on Facebook, because basically the Kawasaki have a Team Green scheme, so all their sort of official back teams are under this Team Green banner. This year there's a sponsor that like a blanket sponsor across the whole of Team Green. So the whole of Team Green is sponsored by Massingbird Mundi. So we're all called Massingbird Mundi Kawasaki. So the Superbike team, which was FS3 last year, they're promoted to the official Kawasaki team. They're Massingbird Mundi Kawasaki.
So that's Buchan
and Lee Jackson. Then in Superstock, there's myself and Tom Ward.
Yep.
That's Massingbird Mundi Kawasaki. Then Leon Haslam's got an academy, which he's got a few Superstock.
Leon Haslam, Honda rider.
Yeah, this was all done before he signed for Honda. So he's got, I think, two or three lads in Superstock 600 on Kawasaki's, and I think he's got loads in the junior Supersport. So I think he's got about 6 lads altogether. They're all under Massingbird Mundi Kawasaki.
Yeah.
Then the sidecars, and literally we're all on stage at the NEC. There's 16 of us all together.
This is Massingbird.
All Massingbird Monday Kawasaki.
Who on earth is Massingbird Monday then?
So the guy behind it, John,
rolling in the bloody cheddar. That's what this bloke's doing. He's not a cheese salesman, is he?
Fully enough, I think.
Shut up, man.
No, I think he is. I don't know if he's already started his cheese
cheddar
company.
And cheddar.
I think
There's cheddar and cheddar.
I think I think he is. There's talk of a cheese company involved. I think, but basically we're sometime soon over the off season we're doing a get to know the brand day where we'll go down to Lincoln and I'll sort of know more about it then. But basically, Massingbird Monday, they own like lots of different companies. So one of them that's quite a big sponsor already in bike racing is the Cool Milk. So the junior racing and
I've seen the
like
hats.
The Cool Milk. Andy Reid sponsored by them.
Yeah,
a few people in the paddock are sponsored by them, and they sponsor the mini bike series. So there's like the Cool Milk Talent Cup. Yeah, for the little kids. Then. So this is the same guy. This is the same guy as Massingbird Monday.
Right.
He also has Lincolnshire Red Beef. And he's just launched a gin company, I think.
Have you tried that then?
Do you know what? I'm teetotal, and I've had like little sips of different drinks just to see what they taste like.
Someone's trying to spike you. That's probably how.
And I was down at the show at the weekend, and there, this gin. So I thought, well, they're a sponsor, so I'll just have a little sip to see.
You've sold your soul to the devil. I'm proud of you, Chrissy.
I had a little taste. Bloody hell, mate! Obviously, I don't drink, so my tolerance is like 0. So I had this like tiny little sip of this.
I'm glad
gin.
I'm not the lightweight.
It went straight. Do you know if you have something like wasabi peas in it, you feel it go
wasabi
up.
Peas? Look, who do you think you're speaking to? I didn't even know they existed. What do you mean wasabi peas?
Like really spicy. Know what you have on sushi? The little green stuff that you have.
All
That's
right.
Wasabi. Anyway,
posh get you.
It like burns up your nostrils, comes back up. But that's what this gin felt like. Because to me, I just don't like. It's obviously really strong.
You're gonna have to bring a bottle up.
You can test it. You can test it.
Yeah, why don't we like play a drink along Chasin The Racin? You know what I mean? Like I'll just sit there and just get slowly smashed for an hour. So, there's an idea. That's the next episode.
So yeah, the gin, cheese, I think they're bringing out. So yeah, this guy, John, he's a massive sponsor for the bike racing. If you think of all the people involved in all the mini bike race, and then this whole Massingbird Monday sketch,
that is a passionate man.
He's doing so much for the sport, and I'm obviously just really pleased to be involved. And I'll be promoting Massingbird Monday Kawasaki on like Instagram. They've got an Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook page.
Give them a follow.
Do you know what? I had an email actually recently saying I think it's if I get like so many people of my followers to follow them, then I get a Christmas bonus off the guy. So
right, so everyone listen,
head over to Massingbird Monday Kawasaki, and Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the lot,
and the winner gets a bottle of gin.
So hey, all good.
Can you not do that?
What's that?
Can you not do that? Like, can you not get a bottle of gin, right? Like from your sponsor, and we'll put it as a prize. We haven't done a competition in a while.
I'll have to speak to.
You'll have to ask her. Well, I'm plumbing this one in because I want to win a bottle of gin. That's why, and it's a steak with Chrissy Routh.
So yeah, all good. Really looking forward to it, and just can't wait to get going. So,
that is mint. That is mint. But no, obviously, with the show happening, God, these stands are good. You can talk and move. So yeah, that was obviously with the NEC, but there's been lots of announcements coming up, which brings us on to our really next subject, doesn't it? The 2020 crack, mate. Obviously, it's all.
You popped down to the show, didn't you? Was it 2 days ago or something?
I went down the Wednesday, so I was invited down by the TT stand. Obviously, going around the RI and got the bump in the RST girls and boys, and obviously have a bit of crack there. No, it's always good. You get a warehouse full of people with the same passion. You're gonna bump into people and have a good bit of crack.
I know the NEC's kind of the same thing every year, and or people always say, but for me, I think after the season's finished, you have that sort of cool off month period,
and
then you kind of need a bike fix, don't you? So it's the perfect opportunity to go down and just have a day of talking bikes, looking at bikes.
drag the missus around, wind her up a bit. There you are. No, I totally agree with me. And it's obviously because what day is it? Friday, so it's the last weekend coming. This one, isn't it? Is that right?
Yeah. So tomorrow and Sunday's I think BSB day is Saturday, TT day is Sunday. Yeah.
Are you heading back down?
No, not for me. Are you?
No, I've got to obviously go. My ZX6, my own personal ZX6 is up for sale soon, so yeah, keep it, plugging the monkey out of that. I need that sold. I need some cheddar in the bank.
All year we've been talking about how it's like not very fast at the TD, and then now we'll be saying the fastest by Dom's bike. It's amazing.
It's not. Look, right, it's an amazing bike. It's an amazing bike. It just quite doesn't have that top end.
When you're competing against some of the best 600s in the world,
well, you're competing against world super sports bikes. You know what I mean?
Still, for what it is, it's good.
Yes, cheers for reminding everyone of that, Chrissy. I'm trying to plug my motorcycle here, and you're just a dick, I've done just shy of 125 mile an hour lap round the TT on it, so it's, you're a dick, Chris. Cheers for that. I'm not buying you any gin anytime soon, you bellend. Anyway, right, so yes, the 2020 crack.
Gossip,
The gossip. Well, basically, we're just regurgitating information here at the moment, aren't we? So it's a bit like, well, let's start off with our come to light true rumour mill. We're obviously right about Glenn Irwin and bloody Davey Todd, weren't we?
Yeah. So Glenn was our last guest on the podcast, episode 29, and we were talking about, obviously, I think it was kind of the worst kept secret in bike racing, wasn't it? I think everyone sort of knew he was going to Honda.
But it's always a rumour till they confirm it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look at. We've been telling everybody I've been telling everybody Christian Idden's been going to be riding for Suzuki, and last minute announcement. And
That'll be brilliant.
He's on the Paul Bird Jakai, which unbelievable. After a few years on the Tygo BMW, he hasn't quite made the showdown every year, but he's been so close. Won the Riders' Cup this year, and then he's on the Jakai. Potter and Josh Brooks.
Did you see that coming?
No, like I say, I fully expected
Suzuki the right.
Yeah, to be honest, I thought Forres was going to be going on the Ducati, and I thought Idden was going to Suzuki. But obviously, I presume Forres got the call from Pachetti in World Superbikes, and
right, and
he obviously wanted to go back to
hotter climates.
And obviously, Idden's obviously had the opportunity in. Going off how strong the Ducatis were this year, you can't blame him for, for him it'll be like a dream ride, really, won't it?
Oh, without a doubt. So how do you think? We talk about pressure and confidence and mindset in this game, but it's a bit like, really, he's on the proven championship bike. It's a bit like the Glenn Irwin situation, when he hopped on the last year's championship bike. But not only this time, this is the two. Like, it was position 1 and 2. You look at what Worlds did. I know. Bautista didn't quite finish up the act, did he? In World Superbike terms. But this is Idden. The pressure must be there to look, son. If you don't perform this year, you've had your chance.
Yeah, I suppose I'm gonna have to stop. Do you know my phone just starts listening to us? It's Siri's just turned itself on and said, "Sorry, I don't understand." It's bloody weird.
Your cuticle appointment has been changed.
I was teaching yesterday in the middle of the class, and it just went, "Sorry, Chrissy, I did not understand that."
Well, have you got Sean Connery in there or something? What kind of accent was that? Good evening, Money Penny.
Sorry, back to
Sean here. Back to Sean.
I am Christian. Obviously, there's always pressure in this game, and if you're going on the championship winning bike, there's obviously going to be pressure. But I think he'll live up to it, and I think certainly if they don't change the rules, I think the Ducati was that strong this year that I can see him being on the podium most races, and the championship being sort of between him, Josh, and Tommy.
Oh, but like you say, it's just. But no, like my little point was just that little bit like you're. No, you've actually just proved me wrong with everything that you've just said there. You just on the day that's where it matters, and obviously it is the bike to be on.
Yeah, and obviously going back to what we were just talking about Glenn signing with Andy. So Glenn and Andy, brothers on the Honda, and
that's gonna be a good fight, fun over the Christmas table, isn't it? Next one, isn't it? Because if they both hold it out all the way through Honda, there's going to be some right fights.
And then Tom Neve and the Todd are both on Superstock. So Todd's doing the full Superstock Championship, I think, back at BSB on the Honda new bike, which I think should set him up nicely for the road racing. when you think about it, the Northwest and the TT are very early on in the season, so you're not getting a lot of bike time. I mean, you hardly rode the bike before the Northwest and the TT.
I rode at the Northwest.
So having a all that the pre-season testing in the first few BSB rounds to warm up surely will help the Todd.
And but you see, we were talking about this a while ago. Well, a while ago. The SP, last year's SP.
Yeah.
That was bragging about 212 stock.
Was it?
That was bragging then. When the MCN and everything like that was like 210 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Realistically, this new bike, they're bragging at 216, aren't they?
I haven't heard the figures.
I think it was 216 or 218. I'll have to double check that as normal. And then basically, well, the old bike never actually lived up to that. You weren't getting even 200 brake out of it.
Mm.
And you're thinking, well, yes, they've changed the chassis a little bit. I think
got the wings on.
I love the wings, mate. Like, I've always wanted to be a pilot, and I think slap some wings on it. It's as close as I'm gonna get. But I think the bike in itself, are they repeating the same mistakes, Honda? Are they just bigging something up and are they over promising, not delivering? You're gonna get that with a new bike, and bearing in mind they've got to develop it.
I was speaking to Leon Haslam at the weekend, and he was saying on the new Honda, they've been testing it in Sepang. Stefan Bradl's been testing their bike to go into the World Superbikes, and back-to-back comparison, the new one was 15 kilometers an hour up on the same straight at the same track with the same rider. So if that is true, 15 Ks is it's motoring on that.
But saying that, it's a lighter bike in general because they've done the same thing as the Kawasaki's. It's titanium internals.
Right.
When you think inertia of engines, it's actually picking up out the corner harder.
Mm-hmm.
But really, but when you think about the top brake horsepower, but bear in mind, brake horsepower is not everything in a motorcycle.
Yeah.
It's about the delivery of that.
Mm-hmm.
So torque is more important than actual, because torque is drive from an engine. Actual outright brake horsepower is only right at the top end of the power scale. So, when you go and buy a bike, brake horsepower is not everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, the Honda's got a steep hill to climb, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it's if you look at any bike, it's difficult just to pull a bike out of the showroom without, it usually does take a season to get. So I'm not expecting the world. Obviously, no. I might be pleasantly surprised, but it's like you say, it's a big uphill task, and we'll have to see how they get on. But yeah, obviously Todd and Neve in Superstock against me, and Glenn and Andy in Superbike. So, and speaking of brothers at Honda, obviously the news that Alex Marquez, he'd already signed for Mark VDS for Moto2 to retain in Moto2, and then he's just got the call up to join his brother in MotoGP. So they're both going to be the factory Repsol Honda riders. I think there was quite a bit of I think Cal Crutchlow was a bit gutted that he didn't get that call. What's your opinion on that? Do you think Alex deserves it?
I think, the PR team want a good pat on the back, because that's a hell of a good move, isn't it? The two Marquez brothers, both champions, giving the lad a shot. I think, obviously, because we're British in ourselves, I think we both want to see Crutchlow up there. Well, I do anyway. But no, I think,
I'm not a massive Crutchlow fan, to be honest.
No, I think it's just because he flies the colours for myself. You know what I mean? I've never particularly followed Crutchlow. Mm-hmm. But I know what you mean. But I think it's a good opportunity for the Marquez. I really do. But you were telling me some right good crack. I haven't even seen it in the news.
If you watch testing, obviously they go out at Valencia. So they race at Valencia for the last round. Then they have their big wards evening and everything, and then they get the 2020 bikes out and they all test. Alex Marquez managed 8 laps on the brand new 2020 MotoGP Honda, and he absolutely obliterated it.
Was there footage of that?
Yeah. So I think it's turn 13 at Valencia. It's where, can you remember years ago, it was when James Ellison was still in MotoGP on the Paul Bird bike. Can you remember Lorenzo came round? So you go round a left-hander, tip into a right, and Lorenzo had probably the biggest high side you've ever seen.
Oh, you remember that? I remember that. Yeah, that was
that
huge.
race. James Ellison beat Valentino Rossi in that race, by the way. Anyway, that corner is notorious at Valencia for catching people out, especially in the cooler conditions, because you come round the left, you flick it into the right, and you're already leaning right when you shut off and load the front. So obviously, if you're not getting the heat in the front tire and the grip, obviously if you're shutting off and closing the throttle and braking, it's a lot of transfer to the front tire, and obviously you can tuck the front. That's exactly what Alex Moore. So you kind of, the way to do it is kind of you more square it off and then like open up the right hand corner so you don't have to carry as much lean angle when you're going in. And Alex Marquez just flicked it right. He doesn't look like he's doing anything, it's not like he was like right on the ragged edge and like flying. He just nice and calm, left, right, doosh, down he goes, and the bike just starts like
somersaulting.
And you think, well, I don't know what a MotoGP bike's worth, because obviously the development and all the costs of, it's astronomical. But it would have cost. And then to make matters worse, Mark did the same thing later on. So do you know?
Same corner?
No, do you know? I think it's the second last corner is like there's that really, really long left-hander where you get all the really good slides where they come over the crest, and then they go into like the hairpin of the last corner. So like,
who was the lad in the KTM in the race?
It's Paulus
That
Bargrove.
was phenomenal.
Yeah, that was practice.
I was sitting in a bar in Macau watching that live, going
smoking it.
It was amazing,
like a full-on mangasm. And
I've been away too long. Is that a new word over here? What?
Anyway, so Mark, same thing, just tips it left. It doesn't look like he's doing like he was definitely nowhere near as sideways as Paulus Bargrove.
Yeah.
And it just goes a little bit, and then he obviously shuts off, and it's just whoop, off you go. Same again, bike tumble. He was going around picking up all the bits of carbon off the floor. So obviously shitty way to start the testing program. But
but his brother saved his other brother, hasn't he?
Yeah, Alex is on a 1-year contract as well, which was a bit of a talking point. It's really unusual for rookies to be given 1-year contracts in MotoGP. I don't know if it's, I don't know. I've seen speculation that maybe Red Bull are wanting them to do a year in Honda and then move over to KTM, or possibly Honda don't want to risk too much by giving. I really don't know what it is, but there's quite a few people talking about. My series still going
nuts, yeah.
Aye, mental that. Right. So, any more gossip from? Let's just have a look.
Wait, obviously, what you call him, Redden?
I was just about to say Redden fastest in World Superbike testing. So they were down at Aragon. So straight onto the factory Aruba Jacai, and obviously
same tyres, same bike.
That's where.
I'm wrong. Go on, tell me. Why am I wrong? Massive
difference. BSB spec, World Superbike spec. BSB spec run no electronics. So to jump on a World Superbike spec, look at Leon Haslam. He was on the Kawasaki, won the championship. He then he struggled to adapt to the World Superbikes. Different way of riding. You've got to get the most out of the electronics. It's just different. So to jump on a totally new bike like that and to top testing is really impressive.
Yeah, but he is a MotoGP rock star, so electronics aren't new to him.
True, but it shows good promise for this year.
And he'll mop it then.
Mop the championship? Definitely not mop it. I think Johnny Ray's still favourite, but I think Redden could easily be battling for the championship, and it could be a sort of a scrap between them two. Wouldn't be surprised. Also, obviously Top Rack on the Yamaha. I think he'll go strong on that. And Alex Lowe's to Kawasaki. Interesting to see how he gets on. So there'll be a few people to watch out for, as there always is in World Superbikes. But I definitely think Redden's going to be up there battling, definitely.
Without a doubt. And obviously with the Ducati crack, you know what I mean? It's a bit like, obviously we were talking about...
Go on. I was just going to say World Superbikes, and obviously Bautista's going to Honda to join in Leon Haslam. Them two are a massive unknown, because obviously, like we've just been saying, new Honda coming out. It could be amazing. It could be shit.
There's either a big cash backhander, or basically they're shoving diamonds down this engine's throat.
I heard. I don't know if I'm not sure if this was from a reliable source or not, but I heard Bautista was on over £1 million off Honda for this season. World Superbikes, like 1.2 million. It might have been 1.2 million euros, but if so,
holy
that's
crap,
big cheddar in it for World Superbikes, and
that is serious.
Just before we move on from the MotoGP crack as well, obviously the retirement of Jorge Lorenzo announced just before, called the press conference just before the final round, and he did his last MotoGP race.
Mad that, isn't it?
Yeah, he's obviously this year's been a real disappointment for him after his injury. And,
It'll be quite bitter to finish your season, like your career.
I would
like
have thought
that.
so. I would have
It would
thought
have been
so.
quite,
If you sort of contrast between him and Casey Stoner sort of went out with a bang.
Yeah.
Won the championship and see later, and then Lorenzo, I know it's a lot of it is due to his injury, but it would have been nice to see him get back to the top, then retire on his terms.
Yeah, I totally agree.
A little bit like, he had exactly the same thing with the Ducati. He had like almost a season where he was like
Rubbish, and then he was right up there again,
and then
wasn't he?
He won at Austria, and he was back winning the races, then moved to Honda.
But that Honda is a handful.
Yeah,
It's a serious handful. Think about it, the only man who's riding it is Marquez.
Yeah.
So it'll be like you say, it'll be interesting to see how his other brother gets on. The bike's pretty much unrideable, and the only Crutchlow's getting his head round it, and like you say, it's gutting that he hasn't got it. But But I tell you what, the only thing basically, hold on, we're looking at our board here. We're current crack and teams, and we're talking about Hillier. A bit of roads crack. It's a bit like we didn't know what Hillier was doing because obviously Bournemouth dropping out the BSB, but seeing today the NEC, Seeley's on with Bournemouth Kawasaki at the Northwest.
Aye, and Hillier's back with them as
Has
well.
that been confirmed as well?
Yeah.
Right, so that's 2 ticked off the rumour mill. Brilliant. So we've got the Honda lads, they're ticked off the rumour mill. It's a bit like, right, who we're left with? Now, obviously, you've got Glenn Irwin and Todd.
I've got 2 for you. So
You've got 2 for us. Spot on. So anyway, you've got Glenn and the Turd. They've taken over Dave O'Johnson's seat.
Yes,
because Dave O'Johnson, he got them a podium at the TT, which is a bit like bloody. You don't know what happens behind closed doors. So, what the hell? And the rumor at the moment is that Norton aren't there next year. That's what I've heard. But you see, Norton are normally quite hot on the press, aren't they, about what's happening and what's going on? They had a big stand there, and they didn't really announce. They haven't announced anything. They've kept very quiet. Norton, very quiet. But
where's Dave-O going?
Exactly. Where is Dave-O going? And more importantly, where's McGuinness going?
Have you got any ideas?
The rumour mill. The rumour mill. Ducatis.
What, them 2?
Yeah.
Or just McGuinness?
Well, no. Wait, you see, I've heard is that it's McGuinness, but it would make sense. Look what McGuinness did. He was on a team that he was really happy with. The lad's flying. He's full of confidence. He was a different man at that event. He was the McGuinness that we all know and love, and who can push at the front. And
it would be mega to see him. We were talking about the Ducatis at the TT, weren't we?
Fastest laps are 1:27 by Rutter. McGuinness will absolutely ride all over that. And not only that, Dave O'Johnson, he's a 131 man. He's a 131 man. He's Australian's fastest rider.
Yeah.
And I think, God, that would be mint. Because Paul Bird, he can, and if he wants to, he will go back, and it would be great. How good would it be to have a couple of Ducatis at the front? So I'm hoping it's right. Yeah. I really hope it's right, because it would be good to see them up there.
And like you said, Seeley back with Bournemouth Kawasaki for the Northwest 200 as well.
He's an odd one, mind, isn't he? Have you noticed he follows the bike that wins every year?
Yeah, and he was... Because he goes between sort of Tyco, BMW, Kawasaki. But by the way, I think Tyco aren't going to be running on the roads next year.
That's what I've heard.
I've heard that as well.
Which is a shame.
Which is a big shame for road racing, really, isn't it?
So obviously, what's Michael Dunlop doing? If he's doing anything, Michael's always the last one to announce. And if he has a year out, if he doesn't want to do it anymore, that's fair enough. But then you think, well, if Tyco have pretty much announced they're not doing it,
where does that leave them?
Where does that... You see, teams seem to be dropping out at the moment. And you think... Because a lot of teams used to run 2 riders. Now, hopefully, Honda only ran... No, they ran Hutchie. Hutchie and Davo. What's Hutchie doing? There's another one. He was on the Milwaukee BMW. So
was Sean Muir running that?
Sean Muir, yeah. So it's a bit like, well, we're coming back. Is Sean coming back at a full... Because Sean's... in and out, he ran Dave O'Johnson on the Gulf BMW.
That,
so
it's a beautiful looking bike.
It was beautiful, that. So it's a bit like, what's going on?
So he's got Tom Sykes and Eugene Laverty on the World Superbikes next year. So he's got a strong World Superbike team.
Yeah,
he might want to concentrate on that. But it would be nice to see him run a satellite team back in back in the road racing scene. Just one for the rumour mill. I'm pretty sure, obviously we're recording this really late on a Friday night, so I'm pretty sure that this news is going to be getting announced tomorrow, Saturday, which is probably going to be after I put this podcast out anyway, so it'll be old news. But I'm pretty sure, after having Keith Farmer on our podcast a few weeks ago...
We can't ruin the news, but he's going to... Go on.
I'm pretty sure he's signed to ride for Bill Bass.
Oh, right.
Suzuki in Superbikes. We'll see, because it'll be getting announced this weekend at ADC. I hope I'm right. Joining Kyle Ride. So Kyle Ride and Keith Farmer on Bill Bass Suzukis. And I'm pretty sure this hasn't been announced yet, but it'll be getting announced tomorrow, I'm guessing. Taylor McKenzie and Bradley Ray on the Tyco BMWs for next year as well.
Really?
So
well, there we are then.
Be interesting to see how Bradley Ray gets on. He's been on the Suzuki a good few years now, so it'll be a nice change. And
definitely.
Good reports from the new BMW. So they've had a year to get to know the bike, so should be good in theory.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. But I tell you what, I think we should tidy up this rumour mill, right? We're pretty much making this up as we go. You know this, don't you? You know what I mean? So people be like, oh, we'll get slandered or go to court or something like this over the future. But hey, you heard it here first, folks. It's all grand. But hey, Chrissy, I think that's about it for the night, young. Good to see you again.
You too. We'll get a good guest on for next week.
Well, we were supposed to have Dave O'Johnson, but like I say, the little slime ball's asleep, isn't he? So he loves this show, you know.
Does he?
Me and him locked in brace full of vodka going, oh, I love the podcast. I'm like, you're just pissed, man. You're just pissed. You're like, I love it.
I've spoke to a few people recently who, people who you wouldn't expect who listen. We had a message from Mick Shanley today, actually. I think he's a fan of the podcast, so if he's listening, hello. And also, when I was at the BSB end of season party, there was like a big Monster Energy do where like everyone who's everyone at BSB was there at the end of the season, and Matt Roberts was there, obviously the front man for Eurosport. He used to present MotoGP, wrote Casey Stoner and Jorge Lorenzo's autobiography. He's just
busy
wrote
lad.
Shaky's autobiography. He's on doing another autobiography. And,
is he doing yours?
I was talking to him and he said,
in this sling.
Yeah, I was talking to him and he said, "Oh, I love the podcast." I was
Never.
like, "You're joking." So
hold on, Matt Roberts,
Mm-hmm.
an educated man, is enjoying this show.
Another unexpected listener, Gary Thompson, he's a big fan of the podcast.
That's because he's trapped in his office. Bless him. He'll be going nuts.
We've got loads of good guests lined up, and we'll get a podcast next week. Are you busy next week or?
Oh, back to the trees, youngin. So it's
are you up and down the country?
No, I'm actually local for a change. So I'm up just off the Scottish border, up and like where the hell
local
is it?
as in only 80 mile away.
It is. Yeah, it is local. You know, it's So I'm not looking forward to it. You know, if there's any professional jobs out there racing motorcycles, I'm very, very available. By the way, you know, I'll quite happily go to the gym. I'll even put gel in my hair, bleach my teeth. I'll do the lot.
Well, before we get wrapped up, obviously, big thanks to our sponsors, Incontango Training and the Victory Barbershop in Burnerfield. And also, I just want to say a special thanks to all of our new patrons. I've set up a Patreon page on. Have you heard of Patreon? Do you know much about it?
No, you've set it up. You were telling me about it, which is a mint idea, because this thing doesn't run on fresh air. Obviously, we need the cheddar coming in to run this little podcast. So obviously, what you're doing there is a brilliant idea. So
yeah. So for people who don't know, basically, Patreon is a website it's basically for arts, so like authors, people who produce videos, podcasts, etc., have a platform on Patreon. And if you listen to the podcast, you enjoy it, you're in a position that you can support it. You can log on to our Patreon, so like it's Patreon Chasin The Racin or Patreon Motorbike Pod. The link's on the Twitter, and there's like 3 tiers. You can donate, I think it's $2 a month, $5 a month, or $10 a month. And what we're going to be doing is a bit of behind the scenes. We'll be doing
fresh rumour mill,
sort of Patreon only posts. We'll be doing little videos before each podcast explaining what we're going to do. Give our patrons a chance to get involved in the podcast, ask questions, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So if you sort of want to be a bit more involved and you're in a position to support us, head over to Patreon, and we're really grateful. I think we've got about 4 14 patrons already. So
Mint. Thank you very much,
yeah,
you guys.
Big thanks to all them guys. And I just want to say a special mention to the. Did you hear the sad news about Colin from Teng Tools?
Yeah, you were telling me about that. Yeah.
I'll just get the post up on the old Facebook.
I'll tell you, like, but while you're looking for that, my friend Eileen Davies.
Yes.
She's not very well, bless her. So obviously, I know you're a big fan of the show, love, and I hope you get well soon. God love you.
So just Colin North. He was 60 years old. He wasn't a personal sponsor to me, but he's been a very loyal sponsor to a lot of teams that I've rode for.
Yeah.
So
sport and speedway and
massive in the speedway. Teng Tools, and quite a few times he's been in the awning, and I've sat down and had a coffee with him. Really nice bloke, very passionate about the sport. And unfortunately, he lost his life sadly at the stock car meeting.
All right.
So it was the recovery vehicle. There was an incident with the recovery vehicle, and unfortunately, Colin passed away. So our thoughts and prayers go to his, friends and family.
Yeah.
Like a massive, massive miss to the racing community, and you just think, like sometimes life's so unfair.
Life's too short, so
yeah, you've got to make the most of it while you're here.
Definitely, without a doubt, mate.
So on that note,
yeah.
Well, have a great week, and
look forward to the cold while you're in your hot school. You lucky sod. There you are, back to the cold and glob. But
no, I've just thought before in fact, I'm not sure if we'll get a podcast in before this, but next Friday we've got the North Yorkshire Road Racing Supporters Club annual awards evening. So
we've got Jack Burnicle, the legend.
We've got our special guest Jack Burnicle, who's going to be there as a host in the evening. Obviously, myself and Dom and all the other sponsored riders will be there. If anyone's local to Northallerton and wants to come along, you can purchase tickets. There's a buffet meal included. I think they're about 20 quid a head, and you can come and enjoy an evening with us.
And are you about to say the next
bit?
We've
got 2 nights in a row. Following night on Saturday,
Chasing the Racin on tour, baby.
We're calling it Chasing the Racin live.
Chasing the Racin on tour, baby.
But we're doing a charity evening up at. Do you know the name of the pub?
Afghanistan.
Is it Ashing?
No. Basically, we'll put it on the Twitter. We'll put it on the Facebook. We'll get the link up. It's a charity do that's going to the North Air Ambulance. Obviously, Carl Bell from Ian Bell's Motorcycles. He's had a huge part of it. Dale, all the money's going to a good cause, and more importantly, there's a bar, and we're gonna force feed Chrissy gin to see what happens to him.
We won't be recording it, but it'll basically be similar to what we do on the podcast, but
better.
Me and Dom will be on stage, and
you can throw things at us.
We'll have a chat about our season and maybe like what we've been up to, maybe just things that are happening in the world of motorbike racing.
Yeah, there's other guests, other prizes, raffles, all that stuff. So
if you're local and you fancy a good night out, I think
even if you're not local, get your ass in a car and get yourself up.
There's a hotel. We're staying at the hotel, aren't we, that night? Or the hotel just up the road. We are staying there anyway.
We're somewhere near.
But if you fancy that, I think they've almost sold out of tickets. There might still be a few.
Oh no,
left.
There's loads of tickets. Don't tell them that. There's loads of tickets, man. Get buying.
They are nearly sold out. So if you do want to come, get in touch and we'll pass the details on for that. But
awesome.
Yeah, thanks very much, mate. And I'll catch up. We'll catch up probably next week sometime.
Aye.
Spot on.
See you soon, son.
See you later.
See you later.